Come on up. So this is Hope's family. This is Michael Reese and Ken Reese, her sons, who were the apple of her eye, and her brothers here, her cousins, and I just want to say what a thrill it is for me to be standing here. We're surrounded by Hope's kin, because it's really special. She was an amazing person in my life, and I want to just tell you for a couple of minutes, I'm not going to speak for long, but I want to tell you a little bit about her. So she was the receptionist for both John Chafee and for Link Chafee, and I worked for many years for both of them. She served on the board of directors of AIDS Project Rhode Island, and she was really a leader in an efforts to outreach to the African American community and to fight the stigma in the late 90s that's, well, still around, but actually in the late 90s it was very strong around HIV and AIDS. Hope was a humble, devoutly religious person with a huge heart and a love for life. Anyone who met Hope loved her. She was a down-to-earth person who saw the best in everyone. As an African-American woman, she certainly knew prejudice in her personal life. She told me many stories about people that would call into the senator's office, and she would speak with them on the phone, and then they would come into the office and see her and wouldn't realize that she was a black person, and actually they treated her differently at times. But Hopi never let that happen, never let it bother her. She never let it affect her. Hope's life was a judgment-free zone. At the time she was with us, fear and hatred toward people with AIDS was still very much part of this disease. In her own quiet but hugely important way, Hopi worked wherever she was, at church, social events, and in the office, to spread the message that intolerance and fear were wrong, and she had an impact. Hope knew me and many others who were HIV positive, and she never failed to give a big hug, say the right thing as we lost our friends, and most important, inspire by her own example. Today, we present for the first time an award bearing her name. It is going to a person who has devoted decades of his life to fighting for people with HIV and AIDS. To unveil the name of the 2015 Hope Harris Award recipient, it is my pleasure to introduce a former chairman of the board of AIDS Project Rhode Island and our current Congressman, David Cicilline. David.
Thank you very much. It's a really great honor for me, having had the privilege of knowing Hope Harris, and to present the first award that bears her name. I want to acknowledge, before I do that, the wonderful AIDS quilts that are before us, the panels, and thank Beth and Russ Millam, who have been stewards of this for so many years. Thank you to all the volunteers and everyone who has been a part of this walk this year. Thank you, Mayor Lorza. Thank you, Treasurer Magazina. I know Representative Grace Diaz is also here. Thank you, Grace. This year's recipient, when Treasurer Magazina was saying 30 years ago, I thought he was going to say, I wasn't even born. He just reminded me he was 2. But it reminded me that the person who's receiving this award was someone who, for many, many years, more than 30 years ago, but particularly when this epidemic broke out, who was very active in the struggle against HIV and AIDS and has remained so ever since. And it was at a time, as was mentioned, that there was tremendous fear and tremendous anxiety and a lot of stigma. And members of our community had to respond because it was happening to us. But I think some of the strongest heroes in this fight were members from the straight community who really stood with us in those very dark early days when there was so much fear. And the individual that was receiving the award this year has been at this work for more than 30 years. Began his work as a community organizer, as someone who helped resettlement communities, as someone who's been very involved in healthy community development, honored by organizations all across our state, was the individual who began some of the earliest work to help families, particularly children affected by AIDS, and really helped to bring incredible education and strong advocacy and a great community of caring around HIV and AIDS. The president and CEO of AIDS Care Ocean State, Paul Fitzgerald.
I wasn't prepared for this, not at all, okay? I knew someone was getting an award, I did not know who, and so this is a treasured award for me. The Harris family has been, they've been in the community doing things for a long time, and you know, she's been doing all kinds of things. I first met Mrs. Harris when I was a young guy over at John Hope Settlement House, you know, and I've been raising hell in the community for a very, very long time. And as you all know, each time I come to this walk, right, I always have some sort of a rally, and a rally cry for us, you know, to go forward and make a difference, you know. And this woman really did make a difference, and I am honored and humbled to accept this award. It's very special to me. It's special to our organization, to what we do. And it reflects on all the work that we do in every one of us. Recently for us, I love Guy Abelson, was a wonderful, wonderful man, did a lot of great things for us. I remember in the early years of Fax House, you know, he stepped forward and helped us. But very recently, we lost a staff person. Ariane Davey was one of our staff folks, and this poor young woman was lost her life to violence just a few weeks back. And she was an outreach worker in our prevention program, not afraid to be in the community, not afraid to open her heart, not afraid to voice our concerns. She really is a hero, a soldier, and one of the ones who walks with us every single day. And now, you know, she's going to carry on her work spiritually for us so that we can make a difference. Thank you.